Hello, you joined me in my office to start a new segment that I think a decent amount of followers will be interested in. At least a few times a week, someone reaches out to ask me about a W12 on the market. So in light of that, I'm going to begin making videos with my observations and opinions on each car currently for sale in the US. And of course, I'll go over all the facts about colors and options as well as production numbers. Today though, I'm going to begin with what I think to be the nicest D4 for sale right now. I have no incentive to talk good about this car, but for full disclosure, the current owner is a member of the W12 Owners Club. So we've got a 2014 Glacier White and Belleo Brown W12 with just under 80,000 miles. The asking price is $38,000 and it's listed on AutoTrader and I believe Facebook Marketplace as well. Diving into the options, it has a 5-seat configuration, which is a no-cost option. The Belleo Brown Audi Design Selection interior, which was $4,000 and also required the $5,500 full leather package. Bang & Olufsen audio for $6,300. Driver's assist for $3,000. Night vision assist for $2,300. W12 Sport package that includes the sport dampers and rear sport diff for $2,000 and all season mats for $180. The MSRP was $134,500 plus $2,100 gas guzzler charge and $895 destination charge means that it came to $160,775 sticker price. For 2014, only 29 W12s made it across the Atlantic, so straight off the bat, it's a very uncommon find. This is the only one in Glacier White, and by default, the only one in Glacier White with Belleo interior as well. 2014 was the last year before the facelift, which came with some added perks beyond the common early W12s, including high beam assist, top view camera, and hands-free trunk. This car spent its first 10 years in Indiana, where the current owner bought it from Audi after it was traded in on an RSQ8 at just under 50,000 miles. According to the dealer, the original owner spec'd the car through them and it was serviced at their dealer. It is now located in the Southwest and has been serviced by Porsche of Albuquerque and recently moved to Phoenix. Coincidentally, the owner's relocation to Phoenix is the reason for the sale as well. So there's the facts and figures. Now I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions on the spec and the condition based on the for sale ad. Looking at the AutoTrader ad, we have a free auto check report. So I scrolled through there. It does show that there's two previous owners, but they're both in Indianapolis, one being Carmel, a suburb of Indianapolis, and the other one in Indianapolis. So maybe the dealer was being untruthful, saying that the original owner spec'd it and traded it in on RSQ8, or maybe he changed ownership to his wife or to and from business to personal, something like that. I don't know, but the first two owners had it for just under 50,000 miles. Like I said, both were in Indiana. Indiana does see a little bit of snow, so there would be a little bit of salt use if it was driven in the winter, but pretty minimal. Obviously aluminum body, that's fine, but things like certain suspension components are still steel. It's just nice to see a car without salt, but given the low miles, and the fact that Indianapolis doesn't see too much snow, it's not like it's a Rust Belt car. We see lots of service records, but nothing that would be concerning. It's not like it's seeing the dealer too frequently, but it does look like it did hit all of those scheduled maintenance marks. Moving on to the pictures. These are not professional pictures, which is nice to see when you have a private party car. Of course, sometimes you don't see the details quite as well, but it does kind of lend to, at least in my eyes, some of the honesty in the selling of the car and the presentation. Around the outside, I see nothing to cause concern at all. It looks pretty clean. I don't see any loose trim or dents or anything. Of course, it's a white car, and these pictures, again, are not professional, so it's not like you can get like a great detailed close-up look all around the car, but it does look clean. There's nothing glaring, at least. I do see the aftermarket wheels, but the non-stock wheels. The owner did say that they are OEM, and I believe those are S8 Plus wheels. So as long as you like the look of those, that's good to go there. Moving on to the inside, it is dusty, and straight away we see the headlight switch, and that alignment there isn't quite right. So I believe something would have probably been disassembled, maybe the underneath panel for something underneath there, but that should probably be adjusted. That's not aligned the way it should be. I usually like to look at the cockpit area, the driver's seat, and the door sill to see how the car was taken care of, and even the door handle on the outside. If there's excessive scratches there, you can kind of get the idea that the owner of the car wasn't really careful with it, and maybe or maybe not that bleeds into how the car was driven and cared for, but when it's clean, at least that's a good indication that it was well cared for. I see very minimal creasing on the bolster, so it's not like they were sitting on the edge of the seat, and the W12 sill is pretty clean. When you have Bang & Olufsen, that grill can also get scuffed up pretty easily by shoes, and that looks clean on the driver's side. The car hasn't been detailed beforehand, so we do see like some smudges and that kind of thing on the leather. And again, not being professional pictures, we don't get the best view of the car, but overall it looks to be in good condition. There's nothing, again, glaring. I don't see gouges in the leather or major scratches. Mostly all I see is just a little bit of dust. Looking at the headliner too, I always like to see if the A-pillar is dirty. Being that it's a light colored Alcantara, that could be difficult to clean, and you don't want to be rough on Alcantara, and over the time, the foam in the headliner does break down, so you don't want to be pressing on that and scrubbing it in case it's become brittle, and then you can leave kind of like indents in the foam. Just behind the memory seat buttons, I do see a very small scratch, just a couple inches left of the off button, and then maybe a little bit of wear to the armrest by the door pull in the driver's door card. Nothing crazy. That is a high wear area, so you do expect to see some wear use there. Same with the steering wheel. It's kind of been worn smooth and it's a bit shiny. I feel like that's a decent indication to me that the leather probably hasn't been conditioned. When you clean and condition leather, you get rid of some of that shininess that an Audi should have and bring it back to kind of that matte satin look. So when I see a steering wheel like this, it kind of tells me that maybe the leather wasn't conditioned, and especially in a full leather car, it's important the tops of the door cards and the top of the dash do get conditioned because they can shrink and pull up, particularly on that upper section of the upper dash by the defrost vent in the center. And I've even seen it around the center speaker grille on the lower upper dash section. In the back seat, it does look like it did see some use. Again, it's dusty, and I do want to point out that screen for the rear HVAC. Dust does like to get under there. It does look like we have a couple specks under there. Again, it's a small thing, it's not a big deal, and it's common, but if that armrest had been spending most of its time folded up, or the dust had been cleaned regularly, you probably wouldn't see dust under that screen. And even that the cup holder is deployed and is pretty dusty inside does show that it probably was spent most of its life folded down, and maybe even that cup holder extended. It's good to see that the rear seat entertainment is working. Those modules are a little bit finicky sometimes. The control head for the rear seat entertainment is located between the rear seats in that little flip-up cubby above the armrest, or if you have a four-seater, in the upper wooden door. Mine had to be replaced when I bought it. One of the only things that ever went wrong with my car. And in my D3 as well, it stopped working because of water ingress in the trunk, which was a common issue for the D3 W12 as well. The backs of the seats, being a full leather car, again, those seat backs are covered in leather, and they're a hot spot for scuffs from shoes and that kind of thing. We're looking clean there, and the rear seats look clean as well. So they do look like they were used, but not heavily. At least I don't think kids were back here. If they were, then they were very well behaved. On the passenger side, I do see a couple scratches on the Bang & Olufsen grille, but I can't see much beyond that. In these pictures, I don't get a great look at that center defrost vent. That is the first place I always look when I want to see if the leather has dried up or shrunken at all. Picture 9 on Auto Trader, you can just see the very edge of it, and you can see that it's sloping down. That slope doesn't go too far. It's maybe like inch and a half. And when it shrinks and pulls back from there, the leather no longer follows the contour of the dash, and it'll lift up. It does look like that contour is sinking, so I think the dash is probably going to be okay. Given the condition of the steering wheel, I do think that it would be a good idea to condition that leather. This was probably a garage kept car. If the guy traded on an RSQ8, he's probably got a garage, and Indiana isn't crazy with UV, but now that it's spent a couple years in the Southwest, not sure again if it's garage kept there, but if it wasn't, definitely want to get moisture back in that leather to make sure that it stays nice and supple for years to come. Then to finish out the condition based on these pictures, I'm looking in the engine bay. I don't see anything of note in here other than it's a little bit dirty. You can see a little bit of oil around the filler, and then again on that removable brace, and then the air box on the left side. When I see this, I usually think that someone was probably topping up oil on a windy day, because it's happened to me so many times. You go to pour out of especially like a gallon jug or a 5-quart jug, and the wind catches just some of that small stream and carries away. Maybe that's what's happened here. I don't imagine that there's anything to be concerned about with that, but again, the engine bay just hasn't been cleaned like the interior. We do actually get a good picture from the engine bay of that dash, and it does look like confirmed the leather is not shrinking, at least around that defrost vent, which is the first place it shrinks. I'm sure you guys remember Pepper. He's got his bell on. He's outside today. So it says 70,940 miles on this listing, but if you go to the auto check report, there was a service record where the car is approaching 80,000 miles. And in fact, the seller did tell me that part of the reason of selling is that he's going to be doing a lot of driving and didn't want to put these kind of miles on the car. So anyway, that is the MSRP and the options and condition based on these photos. Of course, do your own due diligence, but here's my opinion on the car. 2014, you're not going to see a lot of these. 29 in total, and if you want a color that is not black, then you should probably jump on this one. Given the fact that it has a Vallejo interior as well, many people are hot on the Bang & Olufsen too, and it has sport diff. So these options here kind of make it pretty desirable. There are definitely other white W12s out there. There are even probably a handful of white, either Ibis or Glacier with Vallejo interior, but having that 2014 will get you that top view camera and the hands-free trunk and the high beam assist, which was a really late, a couple of those. The high beam assist I think came late 2012, if not early 2013. I think the same with the trunk assist, but the top view camera was in 2013 and up. So these options plus Bang & Olufsen, it is a 5-seater. So if you are wanting a 5-seater, then you should absolutely jump on this. Ratio of 4-seater to 5-seater, from what I've gathered so far, I think I have about a third of all VINs for D4 W12s that came to North America. It looks like the breakdown is about 1/3 of them, 1/4 to 1/3 are 5-seater and the rest are 4-seater. So if you're looking for a non-black 5-seater with an interesting interior and Bang & Olufsen and sport diff, this actually has all the options except for, of course, a comfort seat that you can't have with 5-seater, and also solar sunroof, which I've said many times on the channel, I think it is a detract because the pano sunroof is much cooler than the solar sunroof, which is I think about a $900 option. It's not an expensive option, but the pano roof is standard, and having that extra lighting in the back seat is very cool. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the car. I think that the price is probably at the high end of market value right now. Prices for W12s are a little soft right now. You can even find them creeping into the upper teens. I don't think it's going to be in clean condition, and mileage is certainly going to be high at that point, but $38,000 ask is pretty high. I bet there's flexibility in that, and having something that has a good service history, has great options, and a very interesting color scheme, I think it's still worth it for the money. The seller did also mention to me that he has a warranty on it, I think to 125,000 miles. I asked him if that was transferable. He said he didn't see why not. So if you do reach out to the seller on the specific car, ask about the warranty, and also if you buy it, definitely join the W12 Owners Club at W12ownersclub.com. So anyway, this is my first go at this. Let me know if this was useful. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to see. I'm not making a bunch of money on, I'm not making any money on the channel yet, so please subscribe, watch my videos. But once I do, then maybe I can justify flying out and taking a look at these cars and driving them. I'm also considering putting on the website cars for sale, not doing anything other than just listing or mentioning that these cars are listed, especially for the D4s and the D3s and Phaetons as well, where there's less than 1,000 total, and at this point in time, many of them have been disassembled or crashed or whatever it is. Numbers are dwindling, so the rarity is pretty extreme. So I'm considering just putting in links to cars that are for sale and not listing them, not like a Cars and Bids or Facebook Marketplace kind of thing. But anyway, I'm droning on. If this was useful, please let me know. I'll keep doing it, and let me know if there's anything else that you want to know, barring me physically going to the car, unless it's a car that's close to me. If you find one that's for sale, shoot it my way. I'd love to make sure that one, it's on the list of VIN registry, and two, that I can make a video for it and let prospective buyers know that it's available and my thoughts on it. All right, thanks for watching, everyone.